nerds, what's up? So I think we're all reeling a little bit from the release of the Stormlight Archive 5 prologue, to say the least. So today I just want to go over some of the first things I noticed, some of the most important things, along with the theories that are floating around. Now, since I am filming this less than 48 hours after the prologue was released, I'm not expecting this to be every theory ever or definitive, but rather a jumping off point for us to start discussing for the next 2 years about what's going on before we get the rest of the book. Without further ado, let's start with, for me, the biggest thing, which is the Stormfather. This one seems to be the one that is debated most hotly, whether or not this is a Stormfather imposter or the Stormfather himself. Now, I'll admit my gut reaction when I first read it was that this wasn't the Stormfather at all, but I did realize that my email had cut off the end of the prologue because it was too long. So I missed the last 2 pages, and reading those last 2 pages actually changed my mind again, and now I am unsure. So I want to look at kind of both sides, and is this the Stormfather, or as some people are calling it, is it the Stormfaker? Now, initially I thought one of the reasons it wasn't the Stormfather is because of the shimmer. I kept thinking that was another kind of spren that did that, but I saw that Reddit user Dubs points out that there are actually several places in Oathbringer and one place in Rhythm of War where it is described that the Stormfather looks like this. So I'll put the screen grab up here so you can see that, but one of the quotes said, "He searched the sky and discovered a ripple in the air like heat rising from a distant stone, a shimmer the size of a building." And then there are notes how there are also instances of him appearing as a figure as well. And so you can kind of read all of those there. So there is context that the Stormfather looks like this. And then there's this part at the end where it goes from the italics to the small caps, which we are used to seeing the Stormfather talk in. I am so uncertain about the significance of that. Why is it that one sentence that is how the Stormfather normally talks and everything else is different? What are your guys' theories on that? I keep trying to search that. Is that more evidence that it's an imposter? Or is it less evidence and more to the fact that the Stormfather has just changed a little bit between the Gavilar experience and the Dalinar experience? Now, a lot of the people who think he's not the Stormfather, and some of my initial thoughts as well, is that it feels like the personality is very different. It feels like he's much more forthwith with information, and he is less like commanding, and why is he like clearly lying so much to Gavilar? And why is he saying that Gavilar could be a herald? Like, that's a lie, but why is he doing it? And he's almost eager for Gavilar to say the words, which is something that he wasn't at all with Dalinar. And it also feels like his personality is a lot more casual here than in the other books. Could this be odium or something? Like, that was my initial thought, like, especially because he says at one point, like, Dalinar is going to be important, and we see that at the end of Oathbringer. So like, those are some of those thoughts going around. On the other hand, people who believe it's the real Stormfather are saying, hey, this Gavilar betrayal should be taken at face value. Like, the Stormfather made a mistake, and that's what caused him to change so much over the 5 years. And we've been seeing a lot more spren evolving stories, like especially with Syl. So maybe this is just another one that we are going to experience. And it would make sense that he's very reluctant to be with Dalinar because he told Gavilar that he was done with his family and wasn't going to do anything with his family anymore. Now, one other theory I've noticed going around is that it may not be the Stormfather, but it could be Ishar, the Bondsmith Herald, messing with something since he can do bonds. So that is a theory that's going around on the not Stormfather side. Either way, I will say I don't think the visions are enough to say, because some people are like, well, there's visions, so it has to be the Stormfather. And I think there are way too many other ways to fake visions in this world or things of that nature, that doesn't necessarily in itself mean that it's the Stormfather. Now, I will admit, if this is the Stormfather, it will blow my mind a little bit because it did feel very different than my perceived notions of the Stormfather, and it would change my opinion of him a lot. The Stormfather always felt trustworthy and straightforward and definitely not deceptive in that sort of way. And so to see that he had worked with Gavilar in that way is very surprising to me if it is him. Right now, I'm reserving judgment. I really am like 50-50. I can't decide if it really is him or if it's a faker. I'm gonna keep looking at theories to see what I fall on either side. But I think mostly it's just gonna be like a Raffo, obviously. Let's move on to Shallan's mom. Now, I had already seen that there had been theories floating around that Shallan's mom may be a herald. But now that it states in the prologue that Shanarak, whatever, has flaming red hair, more people are buying into that theory. This brings up another theory, though, that Shallan may be indirectly responsible for the newest desolation, because is Shanarak, the herald that we think may be Shallan's mom, is she the one who dies in this prologue? And if so, she goes back and then breaks 5 years later, and that brings back the desolations. Because we do have a word from Brandon that Taln never broke. I have it here. Talon, did he ever actually give up, or did he just get released when? Brandon Sanderson, you will find out, but Talon did not break. You'll find out how it happened, but Talon did not break. So, the idea that Shallan's mom is a herald and she gets killed and she goes back and can't handle it, so she breaks and it brings Talon back with her. Now, Galvalar is assassinated in the year 1167, and it's listed on the wiki that Shallan's mom also dies in that year, so that timeline seems to work out. Now, I was trying to work backward from Shallan's ages, but I couldn't find definitively what ages everything were, but based on I think what we know, this timeline could potentially work out. So this is unconfirmed, but I think it's a pretty good theory. So let's talk Thaidakar, or as I like to call him, Kelsier. Now I did see some people in my Instagram kind of forgetting that Kelsier had that spike through his eye. We do find that out at the end of Era 2, Mistborn and Bands of Mourning. I guess not the end, but the third book, Bands of Mourning. We do know he has that spike, and we believe that is what got him out of the cognitive realm into the physical realm again. And we do believe that he is stuck on Scadrial, so it was very cool to see that one way Kelsier has gone around that is it looks like he is projecting himself through a Scion. Now, Scions, as a reminder, are from the Atlantis world, and we did see a Scion in Rhythm of War. We were introduced to that on the Restares system, so that was a cool scene to see. This also leads us into Restares. Now, I don't really know if we learned that much about Restares in this. I feel like we mostly knew it. Now, remember, he is Kalek, one of the heralds, and we did learn that in Rhythm of War, but I think it's extra confirmed that Kelsier is looking for him because they both want to get off planet, and I think this was the most I heard him say, I'm trying to get out of here, at least from my memory, so that's kind of a little bit. Then we can go straight into moving investiture, which we've known is important, especially since the last book. We know Kelsier wants to move investiture, I think, to get off world like Kalek. I'm not sure how much we already knew about this. When I went back to read the Rhythm of War prologue, Navani doesn't quite hear that they have void light that they're trying to move off planet, so I thought they were just trying to move Stormlight. I do find it interesting that they are also trying to move void light off planet. So we knew Gavilar had that void light, but we didn't really know that, so it was part of the experiment. And then we do learn about Ba-Ado Mishram, that she can create void light. I don't think we knew that before. Sorry if we did. That was something I learned, so that she could create void light. So that's also maybe what Kelsier is partially interested in. Some other small things. Axendweth is mentioned, although no new information about her, and we already knew she was with Gavilar's party, so that's not super new information. Otherwise, I think I'm just gonna keep rereading the things the Stormfather says. I do think there's a lot of details in there that I might have missed on my first couple reads. It seems like there's some lore in there, but it's difficult to really say how much we can trust because we don't know how much the Stormfather is lying or if it even is the Stormfather. I'm still not completely convinced. But one thing it seems that all the fans are really agreeing on in this prologue is that Gavilar is really just the worst. Every prologue we get, he just seems to get worse, so I'm glad at least we can all agree on that. Okay, please let me know in the comments below if there was anything interesting that I missed or some other theories that you are contemplating, because as we know, there's always another secret. See you next time. Bye.